All right, so let's go over Group A equations so you can get a better understanding and greater clarity. All right, so I put the letters that we've been using to sort of explain ourselves when we're doing the problem solving, or this, problem solving or equation solving process, okay? So let's go over here. I have the equation 2 times the quantity of 4k plus 3 minus 13 equals 2 times the quantity of 18 minus k minus 13. The first thing we're going to do in this situation is C. We're going to go ahead and apply distributive property. So let me get my tools here. So apply distributive property. So let's go here, smart cut, smart cut. What I do these, so I don't believe I'm actually trying to do any operations like addition here, subtraction here. So let's apply distributive property. Two sets of 4, 8. Bring down the k. Okay. Both of these numbers are positive. You can't see it here, but in the absence of a negative sign, let's always assume it's positive. We have a positive sign here. So then 2 sets of 3 equals 6. So we're looking good. Bring down the negative 13 down here. Let's go over here. And let's apply 2 times. Let's find the product of 2 and 18, or 2 sets of 18, 36. I have one negative here. I'm finding the product. I have one negative. If I have an item of negatives, the product's going to be negative. So 2 sets of 1, 2. Bring down the k. I have negative 13 here. So now what I want to do is go ahead and apply letter B, which is combine like terms. And notice here, I have like terms on this side. I combine them using a rectangle because they're right next to each other. Over here, I have like terms that are sort of separated. Okay. So my integer 13 negatives here and my 36 positives here, they're kind of separated by this variable. So I just kind of use the circles that are up. So I go over here, I'm going to bring down my 8k. Why? I am not doing anything to it. So I have I have 6 positives and I have 13 negatives. I have 7 negatives. Then I go over here, I have 36 positives and I have 13 negatives. These are 23 positives. Or with arithmetic, thinking using arithmetic, I have 36 positives. I have 36 minus 13 gives me 23. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and do what? Let's do a little inverse operation. It looks like I've decided to go ahead and keep the variable on the left-hand side and my numbers / integers on the right-hand side. So you see I apply the inverse operation. There were 2 negatives here and 2 positives. That's going to give me 0 on the number line. Also, if you can think of 2 minus 2, that gives you nothing. So what I do on this side, I do on the other side of equal sign. So 8 positives, 2 positives, 10 positives. Or thinking with arithmetic, 8 plus 2, 10. Okay, so now at this point I do another inverse operation, but as opposed to doing an inverse operation involving variables, I use numbers. All right, so that's 7 negatives here. I need 7 positives on the number line. That will put me at 0. 7 minus 7 gives me nothing if you're thinking with arithmetic. Then what I do on this side of the equal sign, I do on the other. So 23 positives, 7 positives gives me 30 positives. Or using arithmetic, 23 plus 7, 30. Last but not least, it's time for what? FB, baby. All right, so let's go ahead and get this get this variable by itself with a indice de uno coefficient. So what do my eyeballs show me as the coefficient? 10. I divide by 10. What I do on one side of the equal sign, I do the same on the other, divide by 10. And that results in me having there are 3 sets of 10 and 30, and that's my solution there. All right, so let's go ahead and clear that up and go on to the next challenge here. So let's close that. Go to the next challenge. This is challenge F here, okay? So let's go to my tools. Challenge F here has 3 times the quantity of C minus 1 plus 2 times the quantity of 3C plus 1 equals negative. Let's go ahead and put an emphasis on here. Negative 1 times the quantity of 3C plus 1. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is I'm going to apply distributive property. Check. So let's apply distributive property. Smart cut here, so I don't believe I'm actually doing addition. smart cut here, so I don't believe I'm doing addition. I said addition, but I mean subtraction. Then over here, addition, and smart cut over here, so I don't think I'm doing addition. So let's apply distributive property. All right, we never multiply numbers and letters. So there we go. So 1 set of 3 is 3. Bring down the C. That's a done deal. And apply distributive property once again. I do have a negative here. I'm finding the product, but it's an odd amount of negatives, so therefore it's just there's one negative, so it gives me one negative here. It's an odd amount. So then I have 3 sets of 1, that gives me 3. So we're done with that. Go on to the next one. Everything's positive here, so this is nice. So 2 sets of 3, 6. Bring down the C. Let's go over here. 2 sets of 1, 2. So over here, I've applied distributive property. Let's go over here. And I remember I had a negative 1 here. So one negative sign I see, that's an odd amount of negatives. So therefore, my product is going to be negative, as you can see down here. 1 set of 3, 3. Bring down the C. So I go over here. I have 1 negative, I have 1 positive. Oh, I have an odd amount of negatives, so negative right here. And then 1 set of 1, 1. So now we're done applying distributive property. Let's go ahead and combine like terms. So notice these shapes I'm using here. Why am I using circles with these terms? And why am I using triangles with these terms? If you'll notice, these terms are variables here, 3C, 6C. They have the same base, and even though you can't see the invisible uno here and invisible here, they have the same power. So I can combine these. So 3 positive, 6 positive, 9 positive. Using arithmetic, 6 plus 3, 9. And then we bring down the C. So those are done. So we go over here, 3 negatives, 2 positives. That's going to give me 1 negative. Done there. So we got the other side. We really didn't do anything. There was no like terms to combine, so we just bring those down. So then I decide that I want the variable over here on the left-hand side and my number on the right-hand side. So because of that, I'm going to do an inverse operation. Snatch that -1 from, get rid of it from over there. So 1 negative on the number line plus 1 positive gets you to 0, or 1 minus 1 gives you 0. So I go over here. I had what I did on this side. I do as well on this side. So I have 1 positive here, 1 positive here. 1 positive, 1 negative on the number line gets you 0, or using arithmetic, 1 minus 1 gives you 0. So at this point, I have 0. So let's go ahead and get this invisible uno and the coefficient by itself. Excuse me, in the variable by itself. So we'll go over here, divide by 9 on both sides. So divide by 9. Remember, eyeball check. I see 9 as a coefficient. I divide by 9. I go over here, divide by 9 as well. And notice my solution is 0. Let's go on to the next equation. So let's clear that out first. So raisins. And go here. Let's go on to the next equation. Oh boy. All right, so let's go here. So, why did I do that? Okay, so let's go to the next one here. And this one is P minus 5 times the quantity of P plus 4 equals P minus, let's go ahead and get that in to see that, 1 times the quantity of 8 minus P. All right, so the first thing you can see we're going to do here is what? Apply distributive property. So actually, let me do a smart cut. So I'm going to do a smart cut beforehand. So I'll go here, separate, and go here and separate. All right, so now let's apply smart cut. Let's talk about this though. Why did I separate that P and that -5? Because I really want to apply distributive property with that. So I got to push that P out of the way for a second so I can go ahead and apply distributive property. Same thing with the P over here. I want to push that aside so I can go ahead and apply distributive property here. That makes sense. And hopefully it does. All right, so we'll go over here. Now I push the P aside here, push the P aside over there. Let's go ahead and apply distributive property. Invisible uno there. So what if I count? I have 1 negative sign here. So an odd amount of negatives gives me negative. 1 set of 5 gives me 5. Then I bring down the P. So I go over here. So that's done. So I go over here. Once again, 1 negative. That's an odd amount of negatives. 4 sets of 5, 20. So then I go this side over here. I have one negative sign I can count. But I can't. It's going to do a smart cut right here. So I go over here, one set of 8 is 8. Remember, there's a one negative sign I saw, so an I'm out of negative, so negative there. And I'm going to strip it out the 1 over here. And we put a little emphasis like uno. So then one negative sign, a second negative sign, that's an even amount of negative sign 2, which is an even number. So we go over here, that's going to give me a positive. I'm going to make sure I highlight that for you so you can see. One negative sign, second negative sign, oh, an even amount of negative signs I see, so positive. So we go over here, I need to combine some like terms, okay? Let's go here. I have a like term right here. I have this like term. How do I know? Remember, the bases are the same, P and P are the same, and the indices, the units you can see are the same. So we have that one. I'm going to use this rectangle here because they're right next to each other. So let's go here. Let me just circle on this one and circle on this one. And the reason why I'm going to use a circle here because they're kind of separated by the negative 8. So let's go ahead and combine these like terms. I have one positive, I have 5 negatives, that's going to be 4 negatives. That'll bring down to negative 20 because I didn't do anything with it. So then I have one positive, let's go into C-grade, one positive there, one positive there, so the sum of 1 and 1 is 2, and then I go ahead and bring the base with it, or the P. All right, and I didn't touch the negative 8, so of course the negative 8 goes down there, and that's the same thing with negative 20. So now at this point, I'm going to use A. I'm going to go ahead and use inverse operation. So it looks like I want to have the variable on the left-hand side and numbers on the right-hand side. So let's go ahead and get the variable, get rid of the variable on the side. So I have 2 positives, and if I give it 2 negatives on the number line, I'll be at 0. Or using arithmetic, 2 minus 2 gives you 0. So over here, what I did on this side, I'm going to do over here as well, okay? So I have 4 negatives, 2 more negatives, 6 negatives. There's no really way to say it. I guess you could say negative 4 minus 2, if you want to say it that way. So then I bring down the negative 20 because I didn't do anything with it. Looks like I've decided that the variable will be on the left and the number will be on the right. So let's get these numbers cleared up from the left-hand side. So I have 20 negatives. I need 20 positives on the number line to get me to 0. Or 20 minus 20 gives you 0. So what I do on one side, I did positive 20 over there. I do the same over here. 8 negatives, 20 positives, 12 positives. Or 20 minus 8, 12. Okay, and so we go down here and I have negative 6, P equals 12. It's time for what? FB, baby. Eyeball check. What do you see? Negative 6 there. So I divide negative 6 by negative 6. I ran out of space. I'm going to go here. That's going to give me my P. And then I see there's one negative sign. I'm trying to find a quotient, so my answer will be negative. And then I do a wind up. And how many sets of 6 are in 12? There are 2. And there's your answer there. Let's clear this out. Pull this down. Alright, let's go to the next one. Make sure I get enough space. Okay. I did. Alright, so let's go on to the next one here. So this next equation is 2 times the quantity of 2q plus 1.5 equals 18 minus q. So the first thing I did, as you can see, apply distributive property. I guess you're kind of used to it now. So let's go ahead and do a smart cut, and let's apply. 2 sets of 2, 4, and bring down the q. Okay, you're done. So we go over here, 2 sets of $1.50 or 1.5 gives you $3 or 3. We're done here as well. So there was no distributive property applied over here. We didn't do any operation or anything, so we just bring these terms down. So I have 4q plus 3 equals 18 minus q. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and apply, do an inverse operation, not apply anything. So do an inverse operation. So I want to go ahead and keep the variable on the left-hand side and keep numbers, get all numbers on the right-hand side. So I'm going to go and get rid of this negative q here by giving it a positive q, because one negative and one positive number line puts you at 0, or 1 minus 1 gets you at 0. So same thing over here, my invisible. So 4 plus 1 gives me 5. Okay, or 4 positives, well, more positive, 5 positives. So I have 5q equals 3. I need to do another inverse operation here, but not using variables. Remember, I wanted to have the numbers on the right hand side, so I still got to get rid of this. So I have 3 positives. I'm going to go ahead and give it 3 negatives on the number line, and that'll put me at 0. Or 3 minus 3 gives me 0. What I do on this side of the equal sign, I do on the other. So I'm going to have 18 minus 3, if you use arithmetic, which I would use in the situation here, gives you 15. Or you could think 18 positives, 3 negatives, 15 positives. And then we go ahead, we do an eyeball check. I see 5 is the coefficient, so FB, baby. I go ahead and divide 5 by 5. That gives me my invisible uno here, that's positive. If I do the same thing over here, to wind up, I got 3. So there's my answer to that one. So it's gone. Clear that out. Go to our last challenge here. Alright, make this a little small so we can see it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there we are. So let me go and get my pen out. Alright. So I have the equation 2r plus 49 equals negative 8 times the quantity of negative r minus 5. So we're going to apply distributive property here, as always. All right, so let me go ahead and put a smart cut here. Smart cut. All right, so I don't think I'm actually subtracting here. So let's apply distributive property. So I have, can I get this thing? Okay. Okay, so I'm up here, so it's a little difficult. So you remember negative 1 is going to be here, invisible uno. Okay, getting really big. Okay. Invisible uno here, okay. So that's going to be 1 negative there. Second negative is going to be positive, all right, because I'm finding the product here. All right, so one set of 8 is going to be 8. Bring down the R, looking good. Once again, 1 negative sign, a second negative sign, that's going to be positive. 8 sets of 5, 40. So you can see I've applied distributive property, done with that. Well, what I do next, I'm going to go ahead and do an inverse operation. Looks like I want variables to be on this side and numbers to be on the left-hand side in this situation. So I'm going to go ahead and apply inverse operation to the 2r here, this variable here. So 2 minus 2, 0. Or if you're on the number line, 2 positives, 2 negatives, put you at 0. What I do on this side of the equal sign, I do on the other. So notice 2 negatives over here. 8 minus 2 equals 6, or 8 positives, 2 negatives, 6 positives. All right, and then we bring down to 40. But I got another inverse operation to do, okay? This up here was involved in what? Integers. Excuse me, I say integers, variables. Now here we're using integers. So remember I wanted numbers to be on this side. I wanted variables to be over here. So let's get rid of that number. 40 positives, 40 negatives, 0 on the number line. Or 40 minus 40 equals nothing if you think in arithmetic. So then over here, 49 positives, 40 negatives gives me 9 positives, or using arithmetic, 49 minus 40 gives me 9. So I've run out of space here, so let's go ahead and see if I can. All right, go back here, get more of it. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and go back and finish this out. So once I do that, I have 9 over 6. Because remember, I'm doing an eyeball check here. 6 is my coefficient. So divide by 6 here. What I do on this side, do the same thing over here. But notice I have 9 over 6, but it's not fully simplified because 9 and 6 share a common factor. So let's look. 9 equals 3 times 3. And then notice 6 equals 2 times 3. Get rid of what they have in common, and that's going to leave us with our resulting answer over here, which is going to be 3 over 2 equals R. Or if you're a decimal type person, 1.5 equals R. All right. So that will be the solution to, or I guess I went through all the equations, provided you solutions, and hopefully I gave you greater clarity when it came to how to deal with these. Okay. So that will be it.